Okay, I'm Tony Sarton. I'm from 20 Princes Street, the Royal British in Edinburgh, and today we're going to cook salt-crusted sea bass with crushed ratty potatoes and piquillo peppers and a chervil butter sauce. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to start the butter sauce. We need to freeze the butter. Freezing the butter when we make the butter sauce will help it melt slower into the sauce, which I'll show you later. What we don't want it to do is melt too quick. We want it to emulsify with the other ingredients. So we're using a Graham's dairy butter here, all from Scotland, Scottish cows. Put it into the freezer and carry on with the rest of the prep. Okay, so we're going to take one shallot, take the top off, cut it in half, take the skin off. Just going to finely chop this. No need to go too fast. Don't want to lose any knuckles. We'll take one clove of garlic. Just take the bottom off. Give a quick hit with the back of the knife. Take the skin off. Same again. Nice and finely chopped. We are going to pass these ingredients out of the sauce near the end, so don't worry too much if you do leave a couple of chunky bits in there. Okay then, so back onto the sea bass. What we're going to do is we're just going to grab a little bit of oil, just put it around your salver. So obviously one salver per fish. Just rub that around the salver. This will help take the salt crust off near the end. Place your sea bass onto the salver. Make sure you're keeping it on top of each other. You want as little amount of flesh exposed as possible. We'll take a lemon. Take some nice slices. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay the lemon around the fish, anywhere where there's some flesh exposed. So what this will do is it will stop the salt from impregnating into the actual fish and making it too salty. And also as it's cooking in there and it's steaming, all the flavour of the lemon and the rosemary will come out. Okay, so we take 500 grams of salt. I know it sounds a lot, but don't worry, we're not going to be eating it. I'm going to take 2 eggs, just the white. Now it's very important, now you finish that stage, that you wash your hands before you start mixing it, as you've been touching raw eggs. So into this we're going to pick about 10 to 15 grams of fresh rosemary. Make sure you don't use dried. You need to get that nice fresh rosemary smell into it. Okay, just going to mix that together. So you notice we've not seasoned the sea bass at all. It will self-season with the salt crust as it bakes. So we're just going to pat it out nice and thin on our hands. And we're going to start layering it on top of the sea bass. So this is a great one to do with your friends at home, a little bit of table theatre. You're going to crack it at the table, and all those lovely smells of the sea bass, the lemon, the rosemary are going to come steaming out from underneath it. So we'll just smooth that off a little bit. bake this in an oven at about 210 for 12 to 14 minutes, depending on the size of your sea bass. So we're going to take some ratty potatoes here. We're going to give them a good wash first before we put them on to cook. We're going to cook them for about 7 or 8 minutes, just ready for crushing. Okay, so we're just going to put the potatoes into a pan. And a nice pinch of salt as well. So we're just going to put that on to cook for about 7 or 8 minutes. We'll test the potatoes, make sure they're ready. We're going to put the sea bass in. Set yourself a quick timer. Okay, so for the butter sauce, we've got your chopped shallots from earlier, your chopped garlic, we've got 100 ml of white wine, 100 ml of white wine vinegar, 100 ml of cream, and your frozen butter. So we're going to take a little bit of olive oil now, not too much, let the pan get hot. Okay, so you can see the oil just thinning down a bit, it's starting to swell, so add your shallots and your garlic. What we don't want to do is we don't want to burn them, we don't want to get any of that flavour in, we want to sweat them down, it's called, so they'll go slightly translucent. Control the heat with your gas. We're going to add your white wine vinegar. We're going to reduce that by 50%. So this quantity will quite happily cater for 4 people. Okay, so once that's reduced by half, we're just going to add the cream. As soon as this mix then comes to the boil, that's the end. We don't want it to boil again. Okay, so now it's boiling. Just going to reduce the temperature a little bit. And then we're slowly going to whisk in our frozen butter. And we mustn't let it boil again. We don't want it to split. Don't put all the butter in at once. As you can see, the butter's slowly dissolving into the sauce. This will give it a nice, smooth, rich texture. See, it's just starting to thicken up nicely. Okay, then we're going to pass the sauce. Just going to taste the sauce. A little bit of salt. Then we can hold that nice and warm, ready for service. Okay, so now that everything's ready to serve, we're going to chop some fresh chervil and add it to the butter sauce last minute, just to keep it nice and green. We don't want it to lose that colour prior to service. Is that ready? Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to put the crushed potatoes into a ring, just lightly push them down. There you go. Nice little wedge of lemon. Pour your butter sauce into a nice little pot, served separately. We're going to to take the salt crusted bass. Just going to pop the salt crust. Try and gently lift it off all in a oneer. All that steam, the smell of the lemon, the rosemary, the salt. We're just going to take off all the lemon. Try and make sure we don't put any of the bits of salt actually back onto the fish. And then from tail to head, we're just going to take the skin. I'm just going to peel it back, not damaging the fish. Okay. And then with a trusty fish slice, what we're going to do is, again from tail to head, we'll try and leave as much of the skin on the tray as possible so that it's boneless and skinless. And then just gently onto the plate. And then what you can do is just a nice little bit of garnish on top of that, and I reckon your guests will be very impressed.